Somehow, the gay wedding cake fiasco has made its way all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, for those of you who don't know, the controversy started back in 2012 when a baker in Colorado refused to bake cakes for a same-sex gay couple, citing religious reasons. Now, the political divide as to why either side is choosing either to side with the baker or to side with the gay couple was summed up perfectly on Politico when they say, the court seemed to divide along the usual ideological lines, with liberals speculating about the damage a ruling for the baker could do to laws against racial, gender, and religious discrimination, while conservatives expressed worries about intruding on deeply held religious beliefs. The problem with conservatives, especially religious conservatives, is that they don't know how to market their ideas. Liberals, whether I agree with them or not, do a better job of this. You know, they'll talk about feelings, they'll talk about tolerance, they'll say, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine you were planning your wedding, you go up to a baker, you try and get a cake, and because of your lifestyle choices, they discriminate against you. Imagine what that would feel like. Whereas the religious right just jumps straight to religion. They say it's freedom of religion. But it really isn't about that. It should be about freedom of association. Freedom of religion is a smaller part of that, sure, but the bigger issue here is freedom of association. And because they've spent so much time focusing on the religious aspect of this, it's now turned it into a religious issue when I don't think it should be in the first place. But because they've focused on religion so much, this is now turned into a First Amendment issue. And because it's a First Amendment issue, you now have some really bizarre rationale as to why this should or shouldn't be allowed. Justice Sonia Sotomayor noted that a major sandwich chain suggests its employees are deeply creative. There are sandwich artists now, she observed. Noting that the primary purpose of food is to be eaten, Sotomayor proposed a kind of functional test, where objects to be used or consumed wouldn't be considered expressive enough to warrant First Amendment protection. This shouldn't be a First Amendment issue, but because they've focused on religion so much, it now is, and the consequences of this could be huge. I create web applications for a living. If somebody comes up to me and asks me to make them a website, I think I have the freedom and the right to tell them no. And the reason why I'm saying no shouldn't matter. And this is the same whether it's me as a solo freelancer or whether I have employees at my company. If I don't want to serve that customer, I shouldn't be forced to do so. This is the same for baristas, bakers, artists, computer programmers, whatever. If you don't want to serve a customer, you shouldn't have to provide your labor to them against your will. If you want to know what the future might look like in this world, let's think about one of the biggest news stories of this week. August Ames, pornographic actress, killed herself. The reason she killed herself was due to comments she made on social media. She said that she didn't want to do scenes with men who'd previously done gay scenes with other men. Because of this, people called her a homophobe, and she eventually committed suicide. Now, if you don't think people have the right to discriminate with their labor, the future you want is one where you're telling a woman she has to have sex with another man against her will? I mean, the baker, by nature of being a baker, has to serve all of their customers, right? Does this also apply to sex work as well? How is this in any way progressive? And another thing a lot of people don't think about is enforcing a level of quality. Let's say they do make the cake for the gay couple, but the gay couple says, this isn't as good as we thought it would be. Now, is there some quality standard you have to enforce here? Are they going to take a random sampling of all the cakes they made for straight couples to see if there's a noticeable difference in quality there? How is this enforced? Who's going to enforce it? I mean, can you imagine telling August during one of her scenes, hey, we're just not buying it. You're real enthusiastic with that guy over here, but come on, you got to suck that dick like you mean it. The point is, I think freedom of association is something a lot of people could get behind, but you have to give enough examples so that people understand how it's going to have an impact on their own lives and not just those on the religious right. But they spend so much time focusing on religious freedom that it could lead to their own downfall and the downfall for the rest of society. So if you're on the religious right, take this as an example on how to market your ideas in the name of freedom and not just religious freedom. Because honestly, half the country just doesn't care.